This is the Sunshine Sports Report with your hosts Greg Daniels and Marlon Jones. Join Greg and Marlon as they review the sports week and preview the upcoming week in sports. Their number is 766-9285 for you to sound off. Now, here's Greg and Marlon.
And welcome to the Sunshine Sports Report. I am laughing because we have gotten all kinds of technical difficulties in here. And are you set there, Marlon?
I think I got it now.
Okay, Marlon. It is Craig and Marlon. And we've got a big show for you today. We've got a guest coming, not actually coming on, but going to call us by phone. Mr. Leon Searcy, ex-Jacksonville Jaguar, ex-Miami Hurricane,
and one of the best offensive linemen to play for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
And we have a ton of questions to ask Leon about the Jaguars' offensive line. We've got a ton of questions to ask Leon about his Miami Hurricanes, and he, as a matter of fact, he is he's very outspoken about his Miami Hurricanes. He feels like they should be as good as they were when he played. And keep in mind, he was there for a total of 5 years. He was a 5-year senior, a 5th-year senior, I guess they call him. Mm-hmm. They won 3 national championships.
Yes, sir.
So, and they're not winning anything.
Not even in the conversation.
Yeah, not even in the conversation. So Leon's going to come on and he's going to talk a lot about that. We're also going to talk about the strange case of Chris Copeland. Robin, have you heard about Chris Copeland and the strange case up in New York?
I've got to look into it.
No, you don't have to look into it.
Y'all are going to tell me.
We're going to tell you about this strange case of Chris Copeland.
I look forward to hearing it.
Okay. Also, we've got it's spring games for both the Seminoles and for the Gators. And as a matter of fact, as we speak right now, the Gators are in their spring, whatever they call it. We can't call it a game. Can't even call it a scrimmage because there's just too many injuries actually for both schools.
And they don't have enough offensive linemen to be able to field an offense.
But they're having whatever. So what we're going to do, Robin, is when we get set, we can go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, we'll have our guest, Mr. Searcy, on because we got tons of questions to ask him. This is the Sunshine Sports Report on AM 1360, WCGL, along with Greg Daniels
and Marlon Jones.
Marlon Jones. All right, stay aboard.
When you require an armed or unarmed security officer or bodyguard, contact Protective Enterprises of Florida. Community, property, or party events. ProtectiveFlorida.com. Phone 904-330-4411. Like them on Facebook for a discounted rate.
Business license 140096.
Pick up your current issue of the Florida or Georgia Star at more than 300 locations throughout Northeast Florida and Southern Georgia. You can also place obituaries and promote your business. The Florida Star is an award-winning publication as well as the largest, oldest, and most read African-American-owned newspaper in the area.
Hi, I'm Tahaka Amana El Bay. Call me toll-free 877-647-2071. That's toll-free 877-647-2071. One of the best-kept secrets in America is using your own contracts to eliminate your debts. Go to newdebtelimination.com. That's newdebtelimination.com. Call me, Tahaka, toll-free 877-647-2071. 877-647-2071.
From the Protective Enterprises of Florida studios. Now back to the Sunshine Sports Report with Greg and Marlon. And thanks once again for you joining us this week. And Robin, do we have Leon? Well, Hey, Leon, good afternoon. This is Greg Daniels, and
This is Marlon Jones. Hello, Leon.
it is a pleasure to have you on board. You're actually our first Jaguar of this season to be on, and we've got tons of questions to ask you. First of all, let's ask, what's going on with you now? What's happening with Leon Searcy, and what part of I know you're in Florida. What part of Florida are you in?
Well, I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I live in Plantation, Florida. That's where my house is, and I'm just staying busy. I've got a books in the work. I've got a new company called Real Man Blocks that helps the offensive linemen achieve their goals and helps elevate their play. I've got my website is up. I'm just trying to build a community.
Well, how do they get the website? We want to promote everything you're doing. So,
well, I'm gonna tell you everything. I'm gonna get it all out.
Okay, all right.
So I'm just staying busy. Plus, I coach and I mentor young men, and I'm just trying to stay busy. I realize I have a talent in the community, and I just want to do whatever I need to help these, help mold boys into men, to be quite honest with you.
Okay. I understand that your mom was a teacher and your dad worked for, was it Orlando Airport?
Yeah, he was a minority, he handled minority contracts that came through the airport.
Okay, so your parents were professionals and they wanted you to be a professional as well, and they really made you perform in school. I was reading, I don't know if this is true or not, I was reading where you didn't get to play high school football until your senior year. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. That's correct.
And the reason,
well, my mom is, she was an educator. She was a teacher at the time, and she basically told me that I had to have a 3.0 in order to play football. And you can imagine me being one of the biggest kids in high school and not playing football. I would get rashed from my sophomore to my junior year. But I had good grades and had bad grades. I had 2.5, 2.6, but, ultimately I achieved the grades that she wanted me to achieve, and I went out for football in the spring of my junior year, and then by the time the spring was over, I was starting, and I was recruited by, first two schools that ever recruited me was FAMU and South Carolina State. So all I wanted was education. I wanted the opportunity to go to college and not have my parents pay for it. So I had said in my mind that I was going to either go to FAMU or South Carolina State, but not knowing at the time that my high school coach at the time, he kept a lot of the letters from me in a box until the season was over. So by the time my senior year football season was over, he gave me a box of letters, and I had recruiting letters from everyone from Oklahoma to Georgia to Notre Dame to Michigan to Miami, Florida State, Florida. And plus I had the grades. When I graduated from high school, I graduated with a 3.75. So, but I thank my mom to this day. She's been an educator for over 45 years. She retired about 3 years ago, and she just instilled in me that, I needed to be a student athlete when I went to college, and it ultimately helped me, where I graduated from the University of Miami with a sociology degree.
Hey, Leon, this is Marlon Jones.
Marlon.
Yes, sir. I wanted to know what went into that decision process with all of these schools out there vying for your services. What went into the decision process to choose the University of Miami?
Well, the parties, of course. When I went down there, I had a great time. Melvin Brown was my recruit. He showed me the city. I was a little sheltered when, being in Orlando, and I went down there, and it was more than the party. It was just the whole environment. I was around a bunch of champions, and they had just lost the national title the year before. But everything, being down at the University of Miami, it was just a certain vibe about those guys down there. They loved winning. They loved being the champion. And they were dedicated to it. It ultimately came down to being Miami and Florida State. And the one thing that was a stickler for me when I went to Florida State is that the fact that all they did is talk about Miami. They talked about how Miami was this, Miami was that. And I just knew that I didn't want to spend the last 4 or 5 years of my college career wondering if we could beat Miami. So it ultimately came down to Florida State, Miami, and I think I made the right choice in going with Miami.
You certainly did. And while you were at Miami, you were there for 5 years. And how many championships were you able to win?
Well, I won 3 national titles, 87, 89, 91. I only lost 4 games in 5 years, and I won 5 straight bowl games.
Okay. And
So that was a blessing.
so who were some of your teammates on that on those Miami teams?
Well, some greats. I mean, Cortez Kennedy, Michael Irvin, Russell Merlin, Jesse Armstead, Michael Barrows, Darren Smith, Lamar Thomas, Horace Copeland, Warren Sapp. Warren Sapp, he was a freshman, he was on the bench when I was there. I was a senior. He was a freshman.
Okay.
We just had some greats. We just had a championship vibe when I was there. I loved everything about being a Miami Hurricane in those days.
And your coach, who was your coach?
My coach, my first 2 years was Jimmy Johnson, and my last 3 years was Dennis Erickson.
Look at that. That's raw.
They don't get no better than that, does it?
No, sir, it does not. So after, leaving the University of Miami, you then went on to the Pittsburgh Steelers and be once again a part of a different dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
So
wait,
hold on a second. Before we go to Pittsburgh Steelers, let me take you back, Leon. It's draft day.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in your living room. Are you in your living room?
I am in my living room.
Okay, you're in your living room. And don't you get a visitor?
Well, yeah, this is in my book, so I'm gonna throw. This is in my book that's coming up. But I'm gonna throw a little plug in. What happened was, I was invited to New York to attend the draft, but I didn't want to go. Most of my family was in Orlando, so I wanted my family to be a part of the draft. So we was at the house, and I was me and my dad took an early morning walk about 6 a.m. for about an hour and a half or whatever. By the time we came back, it was about 7:30, maybe 8ish. And there was a lot of news reporters on our lawn, and we wouldn't let them in the house until I got drafted. So we went in the house, and right when the draft was about to start, I get a call, and it's from Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson gives me a call. The draft came on about 12 o'clock. He called me about 10 o'clock. It was like, he was like, Leon, we got the 14th pick in the draft. You're going to be a Dallas Cowboy. So Jimmy's asking me all these questions about, am I going to hold out? Am I going to be in camp? Am I going to be in shape? And I'm like, Jimmy, you know me now. You coached me 2 years. You know I'm going to be right. So he's like, okay, well, we got a representative on the way. The representative had just touched down in Orlando, and he was on his way to my house because, he was bringing the contract. And I had my agent there at the time. And doorbell rings, this guy, big burly guy, about 6 foot, maybe about 350 pounds, got a cowboy hat on. He got a jersey over his shoulder. Walks in my house, comes in, greets me, meets me, goes back there with my agent, and they're back there in the corner of my house negotiating my contract. Now, the draft is on, so I'm feeling a little comfortable, because I feel, everybody is a little there's a little nerves when the draft because you wonder where you're going to go. But I got the Dallas Cowboys in my house, so I know I'm going to get drafted. So they're talking, they're negotiating, whatever. So the draft comes on, a couple of picks go by, whatever. And they're still negotiating, and I get another phone call, and it's from Bill Cowher. Bill Cowher gives me a call and says, hey, Leon, we got the 11th pick in the draft. We're going to pick you. I said, well, Coach the Cowher. He said, oh, never mind now. He said, they tried to move up. They tried to move up and get you, but we're not going to let it happen. We're going to sign you the 11th pick in the draft. So I'm sitting there with my family. Pittsburgh Steelers draft me, 11th pick in the draft. So the guy with the cowboy hat, he leaves, he tears up the contract. I asked him for the jersey. He's got my jersey. He's got my number and my name on the jersey. I asked the guy from the jersey. He said no, and he left the house, slammed the door, and that was it. But that was my draft day experience.
So you had a Dallas Cowboy jersey in your home, and he wouldn't even let you have it.
He wouldn't even let me have it. He left, tore up the contract, and he left. And after I got drafted, the reporters and stuff came in the house. The reason why I'm mentioning this because the late great Stuart Scott, who was a sportscaster in Orlando, he was the first guy to interview me when I got drafted. He asked me about Pittsburgh and the cold, being from Miami, and I told him I could get a coat, and that's my memory of Stuart Scott. He was the first guy to interview me when I got drafted in the NFL.
God bless Stuart Scott and his memory.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. So, did that have a little bit of extra oomph when you played the Cowboys after that situation, after that interaction?
Well, Yeah. Well, yeah, I did, but the unfortunate thing is that in my career with the Steelers, we never beat the Cowboys. We played them once in the regular season, and they trashed us like 34-9. And then the ultimate slap in the face is when they beat us in the Super Bowl, 27-17. So, and you got to remember, a lot of my former teammates were on that team too. So it was unfortunate that we never got the best of the Cowboys in my career with the Steelers when we played.
Okay, we're on the phone. We're talking to former Jaguar Leon Searcy on AM 1360 WCGL. This is the Sunshine Sports Report. And Leon, so you eventually do get drafted and get drafted by by Bill Coward. What was it like your first season there? Actually, let's take us to training camp. Were you well received?
Well, not at all. Not at all, because you got to remember now, my first year, I held out. I held out at camp until the last day of training camp. I didn't show up to camp until the very last day of training camp. So all the guys, when all the guys are walking in the locker room, sweaty and stinking, filled with mud and grass, I'll pull up in the limo and get out. Now, I didn't get the limo now. The Steelers got the limo. They pulled me up in the limo. Well, my mom in the limo with me. I just signed the contract at Three River Stadium. They took me out to the Latrobe, and I got a limo. I'm freshly suited, and the guys are walking in the locker room with their pads on. They just finished tour day. So I mean, that was bad. Number one. Number two, when I finally get dressed or whatever, they take me down the field, and for some reason they didn't think I was in shape. So the weightlifting coach is telling me that I got a conditioning test. And I said, okay, what's the conditioning test? And the guy said it was like 12 gases. And I knew damn well there was no conditioning test for 12 gases. This was just their way of making me pay for not showing up to camp. So I ran the 12 gases, and I made them all in time. So I let them know right then and there I was in shape. And then the veteran guys, they razzed me because, you got to remember, I held out of camp for more money. So ultimately, when they signed me, I was already the highest paid lineman on the team, and I hadn't even played it down.
And third highest overall.
Exactly. So I mean, who were some
of those players that were razzing you? Do you think we might know them?
Oh yeah, you know them by name. One of them is a Hall of Famer for sure, Rod Woodson.
Of course.
I used to call him Pretty Ricky, but Rod Woodson. I mean, I can remember there was a tradition in Pittsburgh where the rookie had to bring donuts. And this is also I'm giving you all this book information. When the rookie had to bring donuts. So all the guys came up to me and said, man, you got to bring donuts for all the coaches and the players, every once a week. So I said, fine, whatever. So I'm in my corner, and Rod Woodson comes over there to my corner, and he hands me a list. I mean, he wants his own personal stash of donuts. Okay, so he says, "Hey, rookie, hey, this is the donuts you need to get, and you better not blank it up." So I mean, that touched the nerve. So what did I do? Of course, I went. And what's the one donut that people just don't like? I mean, if you got a dozen of donuts in the office,
I don't know.
if you
I like
see
the
powdered white donuts, you're not
like
gonna
the
eat
cake donuts.
No.
powdered white. Powdered white donuts.
Right.
So what did I go do? I went and got about 8 to 10 dozen of powdered white donuts.
Oh, okay. Leon, can you hold on? Can you hold on for just a moment?
I got 10 dozen of powdered white donuts, and I put them right there in the middle. So they're coming out of the meetings. They run, they see the donuts, and everybody's all excited about the donuts. And then when they open the boxes, they see powdered white donuts, and they're pissed. Everybody's pissed. Everybody's pissed at me. Now I'm in there getting taped.
Oh, okay.
I'm in there getting taped, so the veterans coming in like, sir, what's up with that? Well, I said, well, y'all said bring donuts. I bought donuts.
Okay.
I said, so the guys were like, man, you a trip. You. So they always said they always said that it's that Miami. So that's fine. So eventually the coaches come in. So one of the coaches come in, and he's pissed because he's got his mind on some glazed donuts and it's powdered white. So he comes in there. And he makes a comment. He says, you know what? If Joe Green was here, he would snatch you off that table and make you go get some donuts. And of course I said, well, he ain't Joe. I said, well, Joe Green ain't here and you ain't about to do nothing. So he lunged at me.
Oh.
The coach lunged at me. And I was like, they had to pull him off me because he was pissed off because this rookie was getting his way.
Leon, hold that thought. We got to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and get some more stories from
All
you,
right,
okay?
I got you.
All right. This is Greg Daniels of the Sunshine Sports Report and Communication One of Jacksonville. If you have a business, event, or anything that you would like the public to know about, radio is an economical and powerful way to promote it. After all, you're listening to me now. Let us serve you. Call Communication One of Jacksonville, 904-568-0411. That's 904-568-0411. We will put your business on the street.
Hi, I'm Tahaka Amana El Bay. Call me toll free 877-647-2071. That's toll free 877-647-2071. One of the best kept secrets in America is using your own contracts to eliminate your debts. Go to newdebtelimination.com. That's newdebtelimination.com. Call me Tahaka toll free 877-647-2071. 877-647-2071.
From the Protective Enterprises of Florida Studios. Now back to the Sunshine Sports Report with Greg and Marlon. And welcome back to the Sunshine Sports Report. This segment is brought to you by Freddie's Bail Bonds for fast and friendly service. Call Freddie's Bail Bonds at it's 904-764-6008. I should know that number by heart. Freddie brings us this segment, and this segment we have former Jaguar, All-Pro Leon Searcy giving us a trip down memory lane. So far, we're up to the Pittsburgh Steelers years. And Marlon, you had a question.
Yes. So Leon, one of my favorite players of all time is Greg Lloyd, and you had the pleasure of playing with this man. I've heard about his intensity. Can you tell me a little bit about him?
Well, I mean, Greg Lloyd is, he's a beast, to be quite honest with you. I mean, very intense, loves the game of football, loves to get after you. I actually had, my rookie year is, I had a unfriendly visit with Greg Lloyd on the football field. Coming out of the University of Miami, just winning a national title, being a first-round pick, I had a little swag and confidence to me. But me missing training camp, had me virtually on the scout team. I mean, that was still his way of punishing me for not coming to camp on time. So I was virtually a third-string lineman when I got there. So being a third-string lineman, you got to give the starting defense a look. So there was a particular play where we run a counter tray. A counter tray is, I was playing right tackle with a guard pulls and a tackle pulls. The guard kicks out on the end, and the tackle pulls up on the linebacker. And Greg Lloyd just had to be playing linebacker at that time. I was giving him a look, and I came in there up in the hole, and Greg came up in the hole, and we hit, and he ain't moved. I mean, I gave him my best stuff. Now in college, now I could get, if I hit somebody with my best stuff in college, they usually go down. They get to rolling about 5 to 10 yards. But I came up in the hole and hit Greg, and he didn't move. And that's when I knew that was my welcome to the NFL, because Greg Lloyd was he was only about 6'2", baby, 230 pounds, but he brought it.
Yes.
And I came up in the hole, and I didn't move. I knew that I had some work to be done, because this man was at the top of his game, and if I couldn't move him, I mean, I knew that I had some work to do. But, I mean, on the field, he was intense. Off the field, he was intense. But he was a great teammate. He hated losing, and he would call you out. That's the one thing I loved about him, because it was the same way when I was at the University of Miami. You didn't have to worry about the coaches getting on you if you weren't playing. the players would get on you if you weren't getting the job done. If you weren't blocking the way you supposed to block, and you weren't catching the pass you're supposed to be catching, the players called you out. Greg Lloyd was the same way. He held everybody accountable on that field, from the offense and the defense. And you didn't want to mess with him because he was third degree black belt. So you didn't want to mess with him either. So and he was a great teammate, and it was just some great guys on those teams. I mean, it was just some great. I mean, I look back at it now, and I think about all the greatness I was surrounded around. I mean, Greg Lloyd, Kevin Green, LaVon Kirkland, Cornell Lake, Rod Woodson, DeMonte Dawson, who's in the Hall of Fame. I mean, I was just surrounded by greatness, and it's just a shame that with all that talent that we had on that team, that we couldn't bring a championship to Pittsburgh. That's the one disappointing thing. But Greg Lloyd was an awesome teammate.
Yes, sir. So now you coming up on your 1996, and you come to little old Podunk, Jacksonville, and their little expansion franchise. And once again, you're the highest paid offensive lineman on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me about that experience. Tell me about Coughlin in the early days.
Well, well, to be honest with you, I had absolutely no intention of coming to Jacksonville, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I was going to be a Steeler. As a matter of fact, when I was in free agency, I remember Bill Cowher giving me a call telling me, I don't care what the organization says about you, Leon, we want you to be a Steeler for life. And before you sign, give me a call. So I'm in Georgia with my family, and we're barbecuing, we're smoking cigars, we're having a good time, and my agent gives me a call, Drew Rosenhaus, and he tells me, Leon, there's no shot of you being with the Steelers. He said, you can't believe some of the things they're saying about you. And I said, I don't believe you. So what Drew did, he's known for his trickery. He calls Pittsburgh Steelers organization and has me on three-way. They don't know I'm on the phone. Now, me being a 25-year-old, kid, so to say, and, egotistical and arrogant, I'm hearing the Pittsburgh Steelers basically just trash me. They're saying all these negative things about me. Now, me not knowing the art of negotiation at the time, where they're high, we're low, and we should be somewhere in the middle, they're just blasting me. So when I get off the phone, I just go irate. The Steelers are basically saying I'm a system player. They said I'm good because of the system that I'm in. So I get off the phone, I call my agent, and I said, man, forget Pittsburgh. I said, I'm going to go somewhere and prove that I'm the player that I was. So 2 days later, Drew calls me up and said, hey, Leon, Jacksonville. I said, Jacksonville? Is Jacksonville the Jaguars? Now, I said with their rate, I said, weren't they like 4-12 last year? You got to remember now, I just played in the Super Bowl.
Right.
And I got a 4-12 team that wants me to come and play for them. So I was like, well, I want to get back to Florida. My family's in Florida. I went to the University of Miami, so I figured Jacksonville is close. So 2 days later, Drew tells me Jacksonville wants, so I go down to Jacksonville, meet Tom Coughlin. The one thing I respect about Tom Coughlin is that he didn't sugarcoat anything. I mean, he told me straight up that if you come here, we're coming here to win, you're going to work, we're going to grind, we're going to get it done. And I respected that because all the other places that I went to doing free agency, they were sugarcoating things, Coughlin was real about it. And I didn't have a problem with working. All I wanted to do is that we worked hard, then I wanted to win. And he assured me that we was going to win. So I figured in Jacksonville, in that particular time, they had beaten us. We had come to Jacksonville when I was a Steeler, and they had beat us. And I remember the environment in Jacksonville with the fans and everything. It reminded me a lot of college and how the fans, gravitated to their team. So I chose Jacksonville, and hey, I had some great years in Jacksonville, so it wasn't. I don't feel bad with the choice of it.
Okay, and you really helped put this city on the map. It's the NFL map because you did take the Jaguars to the playoffs. You played in the AFC Championship game, and what was that like?
It was great. I mean, before we even got to that point, we had a talking to Tom Coughlin, to be quite honest with you, because Coughlin was a grounder. He was using that same college mentality, and that it just didn't work in the pros. I mean, he literally, we had 3.5-hour practices along with conditioning and all that kind of stuff. And what was happening is, we would start games fast, but we would finish slow because we were tired, because Coughlin would beat us to the ground during the week, and then when we got in games, we just didn't finish. And it was a particular moment where we were like 3-4, and we had just finished practice. And I remember it was me, Sully, Jimmy Smith, Tim McCardell, Natron, Mark Brunel. We all went in his office, and we just told him, "Look, Coach. I mean, we got a 3-4 record asking Tom Coughlin to lighten up. Now you don't understand how that was not an easy task. So we just told him, Coach, look, we're dying. We're dying in the fourth quarter. That's the reason why we're not winning the game. So he ultimately lightened up, and then we made a run, and we beat Buffalo, and then we played Denver in the divisional championship game. And when we won that game, that was just crazy. I just remember when we touched down in Jacksonville, the amount of fans that were at the airport. It was crazy. It was like 10,000 fans at the airport. Then when we got on the bus and we were driving down the highway, there was fans lined up all along the highway, running towards the bus, beeping their horns. There was another 15,000 fans when we were going down the highway. And then when we ultimately made it to the stadium at like 1 o'clock in the morning, I mean, it's 30 to 40,000 fans out in the stadium at 1 o'clock in the morning after we beat the Denver Broncos. And now, I mean, we're in the AFC Championship game, playing New England with a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So that was just awesome. That was just an awesome experience. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that moment, because that moment I knew that Jacksonville was for real, because, I mean, we upset the number 1 seed, and the city responded to us well. So I knew that we was on the map as far as being an NFL team when I saw what happened after that game against Denver.
There was a season that I often wondered about, the season where you were undefeated except against the Tennessee Titans. You played them.
99.
Okay, you played them twice during the regular season, and still they beat you both times during the regular season, and still you were still the number 1 seed because you lost to no one else, and you played Tennessee a third time. Do you think was that a product of Coughlin? Did he because it seems to me that you were in every game against the Titans, but at the end of the game or near the end of the game, the team just looked like they just ran out of gas.
No, that wasn't a product of Coughlin. Okay. That was a product of the fact that a lot of our guys on the team, and I ain't gonna say no names, a lot of the guys just weren't tough enough to beat the Titans, to be quite honest with you.
Okay.
Well, and I played across. I ain't gonna call them out, but I know, because I've been in the games where we played them, where I've had guys. There was nothing more deplorable than when we went to Tennessee and played them, and they like smashed us like 45-3 or something. And I just remember some of the guys on the sideline just saying some stuff that just really alarmed me about, how they couldn't block this guy, or how these guys. And I had never experienced guys just feeling like they weren't tough enough to get it done. And I remember walking away from the bench because the guys were just talking about Tennessee like they were the 85 Bears or something. So, okay. And it was just unfortunate that we had to see Tennessee again, to be quite honest with you. Because that experience of losing them in Tennessee and hearing those guys talk the way they did, and I just said to myself, when we went to the playoffs, I said, I hope we don't see Tennessee, because there's guys on this team that don't feel like they can beat them. And you can't have guys like that on your team if you're trying to win a championship. And I remember being at a sports bar. And it was a radio show I was doing, and I was signing autographs, and I was actually watching the Buffalo Bill-Tennessee Titan game on the TV. And I thought it was over. I said, okay, if Buffalo comes up in here, we're going to the Super Bowl. We're going to beat Buffalo. And then they did that trick play. Tennessee did that trick play.
Right.
And they ran it back for. I was like, oh Lord. I said, oh my goodness, we got to play Tennessee. And then I just flashed back to the game we played in Tennessee and some of the stuff the guys were saying. And I said, man, I feel good about it. I feel good about our chances. But if you got that kind of mentality in your head, if you've been instilled in your brain, you got guys on your team that don't feel that they can beat or block certain teams, the chances of us winning are slim. I remember when we played Tennessee, we were up 14-0.
Yeah.
We was up 14-0. By halftime, the score was 14-10. I remember going in the locker room, guys just losing it. And I remember screaming in the locker room saying, wait a minute, wait. We're winning. Why y'all guys all up in arms? I mean, this is going to be a dogfight. And unfortunately, I mean, we didn't score another point. They beat us 33-14. So, I mean, Tennessee just had our number. I mean, we were 15-0 against the NFL, but we were 0-3 against the Titans. That's a shame.
Yeah, and I remember having that same thought, Leon, when I was watching what they call it, the Music City Miracle, is what they called it. I remember having that exact same thought, and for whatever reason, they seem to have had our number that year. I spoke with Eddie George, and I told him, and he said, well, I was just doing what I had to do. Y'all was just easy to smash back then.
Yeah, we were. There's absolutely no reason we shouldn't have won that game. I mean, we jumped on them early, but slowly and methodically, they just pounded us away, and they ended up beating us and going to the Super Bowl. And that team, that 99 team, with all the talent that we had, number one offense, number one defense, there's absolutely no reason why we would have beat the Rams. I don't care, greatest show on turf. We would have beat the Rams in that game if we had an opportunity to play them. I just believe that. Okay.
So, Leon, you finished your Jaguar career, and you go on to coaching. You coached at, was it FIU?
FIU, Florida International University.
Okay.
Yep.
And you were offensive, you coached the offensive line, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep, sure did.
And you stayed there. I'm saying that to say this. The Jaguars over the last 4 or 5 years have been bringing in offensive linemen after offensive linemen, drafting a lot of them in the first round, second round.
Mm-hmm.
You're the offensive line coach. How would you grade the offensive line?
The Jaguars offensive line?
Yeah, today. The offensive line today. Do you keep up with them?
Yeah, I do keep up with them. You got to remember, the baby Baselli, Luke, he's
Luke
been hurt.
Jokel?
It's been a patchwork offensive line. They do an adequate job of protecting. I mean, you got a rookie quarterback back there. They got to do a better job of protecting him. They got to do a better job of establishing the run. I mean, the offensive line in general is we're a quirky bunch of guys, and if we're not all on the same page, I mean, it just looks a mess. And that's what I see when I see the Jaguars offensive line. They're young, they are talented, but they have their moments of breakdown when they can't have it. I mean, they need to solidify the middle, because your bread and meat, your running game is in the middle. Your center and your two guards. That's where you got to establish your middle of your offensive line first and foremost, because that's where your running game is. And then you got to have some booking. I mean, this is the way the Jaguars did their offensive line when I was playing. The bread and meat, you had to solidify the middle because you wanted to run. And then you had to have bookend tackles who were young athletes and get it done. I mean, with me and Baselli, when we were playing, you didn't have to worry about the quarterback being harassed. And then we established the run game, and we had bona fide runners, with James Stewart and Fred Taylor. And I just think that it's not rocket science. The formula works. Every other team in the league that have success, you got to solidify the middle of the run game. Then you have some bookend tackles to protect the quarterback, and just go off and run and make sure all 5 guys are on the same page. And just have fun what you do. I mean, that's another thing. I remember playing with the Jaguars when I was there. I had fun at my position, and I took a lot of pride in what I did. And the guys across from me, the guys that played next to me, they all did the same. And I think the Jaguars just need to get back to that. And I think they're doing well. I think they're drafting well. I think getting the offensive line from the Cowboys is going to play right tackle. I think he's going to solidify that area. You get the young star back at left tackle. You build a nucleus in the middle with the center and the two guards, and you get a bona fide running back there. Jacksonville will be back. I mean, I'm seeing some positive things from the offensive line. They had a C- effort last year. When I don't get to see them as much as I like, but when I do see them, I saw them against the Dolphins and their bona fide defense, and they did pretty well. They didn't protect the passes as well this year, and they didn't establish a run. But hopefully they can work things out.
This is the Sunshine Sports Report on WCGL 1360. We are speaking to Leon Searcy, former Jaguar player, former University of Miami player, former Pittsburgh Steeler. And Leon, just going back to those the Jaguar teams back in the day, and you got a chance to play with Mark Brunell, and to this day he still holds the distinction of being one of the best Jaguar quarterbacks. What are you looking at as far as Blake Bortles and his future and what you see from him?
Well, he's a big kid. He's very mobile. With any quarterback that comes in the NFL, I mean, first and foremost, you got to do you got to just like me when I came in the NFL. The speed of the game is so much faster. Some of the things that you got away with in college, you can't do the same things at the next level. I mean, the passes got to be more. The passes have got to be more precise. The timing with the receivers has got to be intact. You got to understand that the pass rush is coming faster, and he's got to stay in the pocket longer. He's got to absorb those hits and make those throws. But he's a big kid. He's got a big arm. He's very mobile. He's a student of the game. With any quarterback, he's going to take his lumps the first year, and you hope that he progresses and gets better after each and every year. But a lot of his success is going to be contingent upon the fact that his offensive line protects and his receivers are running the routes. I think the Jaguars did a great job going after the tight end from Denver. He's going to help. He's going to be a security blanket for Bortles. You go in the draft and get a couple of more receivers to help him out. I got to shout out my guy, Alan Hurd from the University of Miami. He had an outstanding rookie year last year. He's going to be a welcome addition to Bortles. He's just got to progress. And what's going to happen is once the game slows down for him and he sees the coverages, he sees the blitz, he sees, he's throwing the ball when the receivers break it. When it slows down for him, that's when you got a quarterback. Right now, I'm pretty sure his rookie year, everything was probably in fast forward for him, as far as coverages and blitzes and stunts and all that kind of stuff. But once the game slows down for him and he starts making those passes, he is at a more consistent rate, he's going to be just fine.
Leon, this is Greg, and you hit on something that I've been preaching to Marlon for all season after the season ended. Jaguars need to go out and get a bona fide running back. I'm of the opinion that Gordon from Wisconsin, possibly Gurley from Georgia, or even one of your guys, Duke Johnson from the.
I like Duke.
I know you do. Duke would be really an addition to the Jaguars. They would have that dimension that they don't have right now.
Listen, I've seen Duke play, of course, being at the University of Miami. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Fred in his shiftiness, the way he's able to run between the tackles, and in any given moment he could take it to the house. And that's what Fred did when I was in Jackson. I knew we had something with Fred when we had our first scrimmage against our defense. And he took it 80 yards on the first play, just a couple of shifty moves, and he was at the house. Duke Johnson has that same ability. Plus, he's a headhunter when it comes to picking up blitzes, and then he can catch the ball as well. I mean, he can catch the ball out the backfield as well, and he's not afraid to run between the tackles. So, I mean, Duke's going to go in the late he's gonna go in the late first round or early second. But I think he'll be a welcome addition to Jacksonville to get him.
Okay, Leon, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we want you to give out the information on what you're doing, how to get a hold of you, the books, and all that stuff, and then we're going to put a cap on this this edition of the Sunshine Sports Report. This is AM 1360 WCGL and the Sunshine Sports Report with Greg and Marlon.
When you require an armed or unarmed security officer or bodyguard, contact Protective Enterprises of Florida. Community, property, or party events. ProtectiveFlorida.com. Phone 904-330-4411. Like them on Facebook for a discounted rate.
Business license 140096.
Pick up your current issue of the Florida or Georgia Star at more than 300 locations throughout Northeast Florida and Southern Georgia. You can also place obituaries and promote your business. The Florida Star is an award-winning publication as well as the largest, oldest, and most read African-American-owned newspaper in the area.
Hi, I'm Miss Money Sense. Did you know that out of every 100 people who start working at age 21 and retire at age 65, only 1% end up rich and 4 to 5% are well off? The other 95% are either dead or broke. To end up in the 1% or the 4 to 5%, you must make wiser financial decisions. For more guidance, visit my website, my10cents.com. That's MyTensense.com.
From the Protective Enterprises of Florida studios. Now back to the Sunshine Sports Report with Greg and Marlon. And thank you for being out there with us. And you are on the Sunshine Sports Report with Greg and Marlon and our special guest today, Mr. Leon Searcy. And Leon, we've got just a few more minutes left. Kind of tell us what you're doing and what you got going on. Oh, wait, Marlon said he had one more question.
All right.
No. Just you can go ahead and let us know, how we can get in touch with you and everything.
Oh well, I'm still coaching. I volunteer at a lot of high schools down here where I go and I coach in the offensive line. I'm all into mentoring and molding young men. A lot of the men that I talk to, they have aspirations to go to college and play at the next level. But not only do I coach them about techniques and fundamentals on the field, but I talk to them about, life in general. Kids, what's in my book, it talks about not only the good, but the bad and the ugly of being a professional athlete in the NFL. And I wanted to use it as an experience for kids to understand that there are entrapments out there. There are things that you need to avoid. And life is about a series of choices. And when I was playing, I didn't make all the right choices. And I want them to understand that I didn't make the right choices, but through Christ and through mercy and through grace, I persevered. And I know it's my gift now to give back and to make sure that the kids that I mentor and coach don't go down the same road that I went through. So that's what my book's all about. And my company is called Real Men Block, and it's T-shirts and apparel, and it's a video where I will evaluate kids on film, and then I will give them an assessment of things that they do well and things that they need to improve on. And I've also got 5 patent-pending equipments that offensive linemen can use, handheld devices that they can use to elevate their game and works on their balance and their technique and their fundamentals and their foot speed and their hand speed. I'm just blessed. I'm blessed. I'm doing what I enjoy doing, and I'm affecting lives. So I'm grateful for that each and every day. I wake up where I'm able to do pretty much what I want to do as far as working with men, working with kids, and building men. That's what it's all about.
Okay. And by the way, we will, if you didn't get the information. Just go.
Oh, I'm sorry. The website is realmenblock.biz.
Okay.
That's all lowercase. Realmenblock.biz.
And not only that, you will, if you go to our website or our Facebook page, we'll have that information up for you as well. And also, we're going to replay this show on our Facebook page, also on our YouTube page. It'll be there as well. So if you missed any portion or part of the interview, you are welcome to go to either one of those sites to listen to them. And Leon, this has been a pleasure. This has been actually a blessing for you to come on and speak to us. Like I said, you are the first Jaguar to come on and to.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna put pressure on other guys to come on there since I'm the first. You know I'm gonna do that. Just tell me who you want. I'll get them on.
Because the station that you're on, actually, the fact of the matter is, I think I mentioned it. For the most part, we play gospel, and it's for African American community. And a lot of our old Jaguar players and current Jaguar players kind of overlook this audience. And I think that is a portion or a part of giving back, because this particular audience supports the Jaguars and supports players to the highest. But yet and still, it's so very difficult to get Jaguar players or ex-NFL players who are from Jacksonville to come back and talk to this audience. And Leon, I like I say, it's just a blessing to have you and just to hear some of the stories and some of the things that you went through in your life, and to show that you can make it back if you have adversity, and the positive attitude that you've had. Because I read portions of of the book. And so that was one reason why I was able to ask you some of the questions I've asked you, because it didn't come out of thin air, and you were a inspiration to me too, because a lot of times things are kind of rocky, but to get someone like you on and to talk to me and Marlon is, like I say, it's a blessing. And Marlon.
Yes, sir.
I see that look. You got a question. I know he's got one more question there.
No, it's just a comment. I was watching you guys when and I caught a lot of flack as being a Jaguar fan back when you guys were making that run in '96. And every day y'all made me feel just that much prouder to be a Jacksonville Jaguar fan. So I appreciate you. I appreciate the work you put in, and God bless you, sir.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. And,
Leon,
you'll be surprised at some of the guys that will come on. I will tell you, if you could, reach out to, there's a lot of guys who are doing the same things that I'm doing in the community. I mean, and those guys would love to come on your show. I mean, if you want to, I can help you reach out, like a Donovan Darius. I mean, he's a guy who's very, who does a lot of things in the Jacksonville community. I know he would love to come on your show.
Oh, absolutely.
King is always available. Just reach out to those guys. You'll be surprised at the guys who will come on.
I will give you my phone number, and we will talk, and we will try to set up that, because I think the city of Jacksonville, they deserve to listen to those players and get their knowledge and to see what they're doing.
Absolutely. And then we're about due for a reunion. I was actually talking to Keenan and Natron Means on Twitter, and I was telling them that we're about due for a reunion in Jacksonville.
Now he would be one of the guys I'd love to talk to. Natron Means.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Well, he's coaching now. He's coaching at some small school in North Carolina now.
Well, yeah, I'd love to get Natron on, but we will talk. Like I say, I will reach out to you, give you my phone number, and we can talk and set up a lot of this stuff, because this is the kind of stuff that we really want to do.
Okay. Well, anytime you want to have me on, just let me know.
Okay, Leon. All right. You've been listening to Leon Searcy of the Jacksonville Jaguars. We've got just a couple of minutes to close out the show. Robin, we couldn't get to that story about the basketball player. We'll do that next week, okay?
That'll be fun next week.
Okay. All right. Leon, once again, thanks so much for coming on.
No problem.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Once again, Leon Searcy. That was a good get.
Oh, that was wild. I enjoyed that thoroughly. at the time that Leon was playing, that was when I was still a wide-eyed fan. And, I remember watching and seeing Big Searcy and Vaselli pushing those guys around and seeing Mark putting the ball down the field. And, and it really and truly inspired me. And I have been a diehard Jaguar fan from day one and will remain one.
And once again, he backed me up. He said, go get a running back.
Yes, he did.
He said, go get you a running back. So we had a lot of stuff to get to today. And we really didn't expect Leon to stay on as long as he did, but we were happy to have him on. Mm-hmm. So what we're doing right now is in radio, it's called filling. Because we don't have enough time to get to what, other than to tell you this, that right now, Florida Gators are going through their spring game. And at 2 o'clock on ESPN3, for those who have ESPN, the Florida State Seminoles will be going through their spring game. And really, they're just glorified practices because, like we were saying earlier in the show, both teams have a lot of injuries, and they're not going to risk any more injuries. So they're just going through drills and stuff like that. Although the Gators are playing somewhat of the game. It's like 30-6. The Orange team is up. It appears that Will Greer is ahead in the quarterback derby at the University of Florida.
From what I hear, he's a little more, as far as stature, he's a little bit more of that what McElwain would want to run his offense. And so that kind of gives him the leg up on.
I have to say it. I don't know why a quarterback of color would go to the University of Florida. That's all I've got to say. This is the Sunshine Sports Report on AM 1360. That's going to do it for this week. And next week, who knows who we're going to have? Hopefully, maybe Natron Means. All right. Thanks a lot, Robin.
For the past 1 hour, you have been listening to, live from the AM 1360 WCGO studios, the Sunshine Sports Report Show with Mr. Greg Daniels, Marlon Jones, and today's special guest, Leon Searcy. Sure that you enjoyed it. Be sure to join them again on next Saturday at 1:30 for the Sunshine Sports Report Show.